You're listening to Elevate Your Paycheck, the podcast that is dedicated to transforming your financial journey. I'm Carolyn, your host and money coach that will guide you out of that paycheck to paycheck cycle and onto a path towards financial independence. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I know. It's been a minute, but I am more than excited to be back on the podcast, sharing what's been going on, what I've learned, and, maybe some tips and some information for you to grow as well. So today we are going to talk all about unlocking your potential. Because in the beginning of the year, we're all excited about new year, new goals, and, we have that drive to kind of make changes. And then as we reach the end of the quarter, we kind of peter off. The excitement starts to fade a little, probably a little bit of the winter blues as well. So I think March is a perfect time to do a little bit of a reset. So why not talk about unlocking your potential? Right? Because we all know that deep down inside we can do better, right? Whatever we're at, whatever level, whatever status, whatever income level you're at, we all know that we can reach a little bit further and could do a little bit better. But how do we do it? That's really the ultimate question. How do we get from point A to point Z and all the steps that takes in between? So I thought I'd help you out and give you a little bit of a boost this month by starting March Money Madness. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, then you may have caught some of the posts that I've been sharing about the different tasks for each day. So let me rewind back and tell you what March Money Madness is all about. So I was thinking, how do we get from A to Z and really kind of look at different aspects of our money and why it is that we do what we do? So I created a calendar, and each day it has a small task. So, on the weekends, I make it a little lighter. During the week, I make it a little bit more challenging. But it's all about getting you to think about your money in different ways. So if you aren't a part of the challenge, number one, you should be following on Instagram. Number two, you can download the calendar. So I'm going to put the link for the calendar in the show notes. So go ahead, it's free. You just download the calendar. And then if you follow me on Instagram, you can see each day I'm going to be posting my take on what the task is and how I'm kind of going through the motions on each one. So what I'd love to see is you all joining in, and we're doing this as a group effort. So the first week of the challenge has been about our mindset, because honestly, we cannot unlock our potential without figuring out what makes us tick, right? And so there are several things, and I've talked about them on this podcast before, if you're an OG listener, that mindset is everything. We can't expect great results if we don't even understand why it is that we do what we do. So this week, we tackled different areas of our money mindset, and I'd like to go and share my take on them with all of you. So day one, it was all about gratitude. Now again, this was a super easy task. All we had to do was really think about why we were grateful for money. Now it sounds weird saying it, why you're grateful for money, because sometimes we think of money as just the means to do what we do. So why do we need to be grateful for it? But what gratitude does is it actually rewires our brain. Instead of focusing on limitations and how we don't have enough money, we start to think about the possibilities. And this is the foundation of our growth. So the task was to write down 3 things that you're grateful for when it comes to money. So the first thing that I put was the ability to provide for my family. Now, what does that really mean? We do provide food and shelter for our family, but also kind of the extras. That is what money provides. Not only the necessities, but it also provides the extras. So the trips that we may take, the extracurricular programs that my kids would have participated in, it provided for the clothing, not always just the basics, but probably some of the non-basics as well, right? It provided for those things. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I had the ability to be able to do that for my own family. The next thing that I wrote down was the ability to save and invest for our future. And again, this is a privilege, I think, because having enough money to have excess so that you are able to save, that you're able to invest, is really something that we shouldn't take lightly and for granted. And the final thing is really the ability to help others that are in need. Sometimes life is just not all about you. It's about the people around you that may need some help, may need a helping hand, volunteering your time, donating in a church, giving back. And there's so many different ways that we can give back. I actually think I did an episode on that. But really having that opportunity to be able to give back to those in need, I think I am truly grateful for. So what's the purpose of this exercise? Well, if you think about all the things that money has provided you, what you're doing is developing the abundant mindset instead of the scarcity mindset. Money is not something that is limiting you. It is actually something that is starting to help you to see the possibilities. By acknowledging what it's done, you can see where you can grow and go from here. So my question for you is, how often do you really acknowledge the financial progress that you've already made? So take some time to write down what it is that you're grateful for, or what have you accomplished. This is going to actually change and reframe your mindset that'll get you ready for financial growth. All right, so on to day 2. This is where we had to find a quote that motivated us or inspired us financially. If we want to reach our potential or even surpass our potential, then we need a vision. Finding a quote that kind of motivates you or you can repeat time and time again, that is going to help you to push you to the next level. What you may notice that successful people actually have mantras or guiding principles, let's say, that really keep them going, and it shifts their thinking. If you think about an elite athlete, they don't just train hard, right? They're fueling their minds with empowering beliefs. If we want to be the elite version of ourselves, we need to do the same. We need some inspiring words that are going to help us to get to that next level. So for me, my quote came from Oprah, and it stated this: "You become what you believe." Because it's all good to have goals and aspirations, but what if we actually believed it could happen? How would that change us? How would it impact the way we go through life? Would we actually make different choices? If we observe the lives of successful people, you'll notice that they don't really follow the crowd. They kind of think outside of society's norms. So the belief that they have in themselves or their product or whatever it is that they're doing is demonstrated in their actions. So in order for us to unlock our potential, we have to become what we believe. All right, so then we're moving on to day 3. Now, day 3 was a little lighter, not as heavy, and it was really about just treating ourselves to something, but with a restriction in mind, under $10. Now, if you start to do this task, you'll realize how difficult that really is right now. Can you imagine that we want to treat ourselves and we want to make it under $10, and it's actually very difficult to do because everything is so expensive now. But again, it's about thinking outside of the box. So that's what this task was really accomplishing. Because growth isn't always about all or nothing. We don't need to deprive ourselves if we want to reach our potential. It's about being disciplined and finding small wins that will fuel that long-term success. I mean, who doesn't love a treat, right? The word in itself, when you hear the word treat, it means you kind of light up because you're like, oh, yes, I get something that I really want. So when you have a big goal or a big ambition, you need to kind of reward yourself along the way. But you don't want to reward yourself so much so that you're driving yourself off track. This task was really to just kind of narrow in on something that's going to give you that same pleasure, but has a limiting amount so it won't deter you from your actual goal. So for me, there's this lotion that I like, and it runs around $35. I mean, it's insane when you think about a price for a bottle of lotion. But anyway, what happened was this lotion happened to be on sale. It was 20% off. And then I had points. So I used some of my points. And my final total after all of it came to $10.69, I think it was. And so I was over by 69 cents, but I thought I did pretty well trying to find something that I really liked and making it under $10. So I'd like you guys to go out, if you haven't done it already, and really use this task and have some fun. I'd love to see if you want to post it on Instagram and tag March Money Madness. That would be fun too. But the question for you really is how can you reward yourself in ways that support your goals and don't set you back? All right, on to day 4. Now, this is about being emotionally aware. I did a wonderful interview with, her name is Letitia. She is a registered nurse and psychotherapist. I uploaded that video to my YouTube channel. So if you're not a subscriber there, then you can find that interview in full on YouTube. I will also link the link for it in my show notes. But it was such a great conversation. We were talking about money and how our emotions kind of impact our spending and how to combat that. So that is a great interview to listen to, just to understand how the two things are so tied. Money interweaves itself throughout so many aspects of our lives. So tracking your emotions while spending, or just being aware of your emotions before you spend, really can have an impact on your bottom line. So on day 4, when we were supposed to do this task, something interesting happened. It was 3 o'clock. And I kind of felt like a snack. It's like a pick-me-up time, I think, for a lot of people. And I got up from my desk and I went over to where the Starbucks was in my organization. And I'm standing in line and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I brought a snack. I made some chia seed pudding and I had it in the fridge, but I totally forgot that I had brought it with me. And I don't know, it was just like an automatic habit. I just got up and walked over to the Starbucks and I was going to get something small there. But it was just an unconscious effort, right? I didn't even think about it. I knew I wanted something to pick me up. It was late afternoon and I would have spent money just because, right? Because I had that feeling of, oh, I just need to pick me up. I need something to make me feel better. And when I was in line, I realized I had the snack in the fridge and I turned around and I'm like, look, today is the day we're supposed to be tracking our emotions while spending. So it's kind of funny how that happened. But I'm sure some of you have felt a point in time where you just need something to make you feel better. So you go shopping and then maybe you spent too much and then you feel regret after that. And really understanding the emotional triggers are one of the primary steps that we need to take if we want to reach our potential. And that leads us to day 5. So day 5 was about really decluttering. Now, not only our thoughts, but now we're talking about our physical things around us and letting go of what no longer serves us. Why do we store and keep things? I don't know. I can't answer that for you. So the task was to do some decluttering and then take some items that you're not using and sell them. So to be honest, at the time of this recording, I haven't done this task just yet, but I do intend to do that on the weekend, really just picking a small space. So don't get overwhelmed by a whole like a basement or a bedroom that needs kind of clearing out. Just pick a corner, one area that you can say, yes, I'm going to start this from start to finish. And then just create your 3 piles, keep, donate, garbage, and sell. Sorry, 4 piles. Now, I'll report back on how this makes me feel, but I can just imagine that the space that I choose is going to feel so much lighter after organization. So the purpose of this task was really the act of letting go. What is it in your financial life that you need to let go of? Is it some bad habits? Is it some limiting beliefs? Maybe it's something physical, right? That's holding you back from unlocking that potential that you have. So as you go through that exercise, I know it takes time to do, but just give yourself an hour and do as much as you can. then I'd like you to just record what you feel. How do you feel? Do you feel lighter? Is there something that you can let go in your other aspects of your life? Because letting go makes space for growth. And finally, for day 7, the task was to listen to a personal finance podcast. So if you are listening in, then you're already ahead of the game. But the idea of listening to a podcast is to really learn something new or change the way you're currently thinking, right? Because sometimes listening to someone else's opinions or someone else's perspective really kind of makes you do an internal look about yourself. And all of these tasks this week have been centered around taking a look at your current money mindset. Because reaching your potential really isn't about making one big leap. It's about these small intentional steps. I encourage all of you to participate in the challenge. Download the calendar, join me on Instagram. And then what I want you to do is really reflect this week on what has resonated the most. And I'd love to hear how it's going for you, whether you send me a DM or an email. I'd love to just hear how these little tasks have created impact in your life. All right, so I'll see you guys at the same place, same time next week, and we'll recap another week of the March Money Madness. We'll see you then. Thanks for listening to the Elevate Your Paycheck podcast. If you love this episode and need deeper support, head to thefinancialmoment.com to see how we can support you no matter where you are at today. We help our clients organize their finances, create savings, eliminate debt, and create a roadmap to their financial goals, which makes them more in control than they ever dreamed possible. So head to thefinancialmoment.com and make this the next step in your financial journey.